Hello everybody, my name is Jyoti Verma, working as Senior Software Engineer in Unica Support Group. In this video, we will understand how to create dependencies between the flowchart using Platform Scheduler option. Let's start. To demonstrate this, I have created three flowcharts: Parent FC, Child 1 Success, and Child 2 Failure. So I am creating the first schedule in Parent FC flowchart. Schedule name I am giving as parent sched. Here we can see two options: on successful completion, send a trigger; on error, send a trigger. So I am defining the trigger in the successful execution. This means that whenever the flowchart will complete its execution successfully, then it will send this trigger. And if by any chance flowchart gets failed, then this trigger will be sent. So first I am just defining the successful trigger. In the when to start option, I am selecting a date and time. I will select 5 minutes from now, so that we get the sufficient time to configure the other two flowcharts. Let's save this definition. Let's go to the second flowchart. So this flowchart will execute after it receives the trigger from the first flowchart, that is parent FC. So parent FC will send the trigger to this flowchart, and then this flowchart will send the trigger to the second flowchart. Let's define the second schedule. Schedule name I'm giving as child 1 sched. In when to start option, I am selecting on a trigger. That means this flowchart will start after receiving a trigger. Trigger name I am defining as success T, that we have configured in the first schedule. Now, so this flowchart will be started after receiving this trigger, and it will send another trigger when it gets failed. So I am defining the trigger in the failed execution of this flowchart. Saving the definition. Now let's go to the second flowchart. Now this child 2 failure, this flowchart is dependent on the child 1 success flowchart because its execution depends on the first execution. That means when this flowchart will fail, then only this flowchart will be executed, because we have defined a trigger in the failed execution of this schedule definition. Let's configure the third schedule. In when to start option, I am again selecting on a trigger and defining trigger is fail_T. This means that this flowchart will be started on receiving this trigger. Saving the definition. That's how we created the dependencies. So this flowchart, child 1 success is dependent on parent FC, and child 2 failure flowchart is dependent on child 1 success. Let's check the definition of schedules on the schedule management page. Here we can see that schedule definitions have been created. So the first schedule that we created was parent sched. For the flowchart, parent FC. Its start time is defined here, and trigger on success trigger is defined as success_T. We have not defined any trigger on this on failure trigger. That's why this option is blank. Now the second schedule is child 1 sched. For the flowchart, child 1 success. Here start trigger is defined as success T. That means this flowchart will start on receiving this trigger. Again, it is sending another trigger which is called as on failure trigger. That means when this flowchart will be failed, it will send the trigger fail_t. Now this is the third schedule, child to scad for the flowchart child to failure. It will start after receiving the trigger fail_t. So that was all about the definition of schedules. Now we have to wait for the time because the first schedule will start at 3:29 p.m. On the runs page, there is nothing to display currently because not a single execution have been. So once we reach the time, then the first run will be started. It's the time now. Let's check the runs tab. As we can see, the first run have been started and status is queued. Let's again go to the schedule management page and check the status. Okay, so the status of first run have been updated to running. Let's refresh the page. It's completed now. We can see the status of the first execution is succeeded, and that is why it has sent the success trigger. And so the second run have been initiated. We can see the status as queued. For the flowchart, child 1 success. Again, check the status. So the status of second run has been updated to failed. So on the failed execution, we have defined the second trigger that was fail T. That will kick the third flowchart. The third flowchart name was child 2 success. Let's refresh the page and check. Okay, it has been queued. As we can see, the child 2 failure flowchart status has been updated to queued. Okay, its status is updated. So for the third schedule, we can see the status has succeeded. So that means the dependencies that we have created have been successfully completed. That was all about creating the dependencies. Thank you for watching the video.